Dr. Leong and we are going to present a webinar today, which is the topic is about the future of work and organizational communication in the digital era. So for today's arrangement, it would be that I'm going to present first and give a bit of an overview for what we are going to discuss in this webinar. And then it will be followed by the session from Dr. Leong. It will be followed by Dr. Leong's presentation. And then at the end, it will be we will open a question and answer session for all the participants. Okay, please, my PowerPoint. Yeah. So I will begin my presentation now. And for this presentation, I'm trying to look at the trends that is currently happening in Indonesia in terms of work and corporate culture. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that I look at the global issues these days, such as we are living now in the digital era. So there are issues about remote office, about working from home, especially during pandemic, like what we are having these days. And then also there's a trend of the rise of co-working space, and there are new profession in media, which is called digital nomads. And then there are other global issues as well, apart from the digitalization of the world. There are environmental issues are rising. People are becoming more concerned about the sustainability of our life, about the sustainability of the earth, and etc. And then also there is a current, a very important issue as well related to the multiculturalism or diversity issues. I'm sure that all of us are aware due to the BLM, Black Lives Matters, and then like Me Too era, and then so issues about diversity and multiculturalism is on the rise. And then there is also an issue about ethical business practice. So all corporations, all organizations globally are expected to follow a more strict rules regarding the ethical business practice. Especially with in Indonesia, I think one of the main problems, one of the most important aspect that we are continuing to eradicate is the issue of corruption. And there's also the issue like labor rights, and then issue about CSR and such as like that. Okay, next, please. So what I would like to discuss today is that at least what so far that I've learned is that studying or researching about work and corporate culture, usually we fall into several perspectives. So such as a critical perspective, and then interpretive perspective, and then there's also the strategic approach that we can use as scholars to approach the problem. So what I see, there is a trend in Indonesia, especially due to the corruption issue, that many corporations, usually government corporation, but not only government corporation actually, not only government organization, but also private sector, private organization, private corporation, are trying to, well, maybe to promote their image, to promote their reputation. And doing that, one of what they are trying to do is to fix the corporate culture. So they think that they are under a lot of pressure either nationally or internationally or globally. There are pressure from outside, there are pressure from within, that those organizations think that they have to change themselves. They have to change their identity. They have to change their corporate culture into to better themselves, to have a better image, to have a better reputation internationally or nationally. Okay, next, please. So companies in Indonesia, in dealing with international pressure to improve the quality of the company's performance, many Indonesian companies then try to practice change management to change their corporate culture to be more in tune with international demands. Like I said before, mostly it's due to the corruption practice in Indonesia. That's why even several of my students who are doing their thesis for their master programs, who come from various government organizations, chose to study or to research their thesis into the topic of change communication, or change managing the changes in their corporate culture. And mostly also that they told me that their corporation, their organization are having big changes happening inside those organization due to the pressure to better their image and reputation, and also to to eradicate the maybe they think that's the main problem is the corruption itself. And so by doing what they think is to change their corporate culture into a better culture, so that they can eradicate the corruption itself if they change the culture. So that's the logic that that most of those companies are thinking, that if they change their corporate culture, then they would have a better performance, would have a better quality of their product or their services, because they already trying to change their corporate culture. Okay, next, please. Yeah, so there are several efforts in corporations in Indonesia, due to where either it's from internal pressure or national pressure, or like I said before, global pressure, that they are trying to change and to cope with the changes that is happening in the world. So there is obviously the technological changes, especially during the pandemic, where everything is done by online, that everyone is working from home. Even our universities now, the students are studying from home. So there's a need to cope with the technological changes. So the move to move from the traditional organization, from the traditional office, to digital companies, from traditional companies to digital companies. It has, of course, it has their own problems, like diffusion of innovation. It's not always easy to absorb, and there is the problem of digital divide as well. And the second one is the pressure to embrace the environmental issues. So many, of course, one of the students as well who already graduated, her thesis is about how her company was trying to embrace the green values, and to to have the licensing. I think it's due to the standard issue like ISO, ISO 2000 something. So if they don't embrace the environmental values, the environmental culture, then that company would not have given, would not have been issued an ISO 2000 something that. So that's also a problem of changing the culture in terms of how embracing the environmental issues. And then the third one is the diversity issues, just like I said before. In Indonesia itself, Indonesia is a very diverse country. We have multiple religions, we have multiple culture, ethnicities, and then etc. from Sabang into the Merauke. And but what from my observation, actually this diversity issue is the one that is less practice, I think. There is no obvious maybe SOP, standard operating procedures, or in terms of recruitment, policy to ensure that all ethnicities, maybe all minor ethnicities, or all gender is going to be represented equally. But I think there is some changes, but not as prominent as the changes in technological or environmental issues. And yet, finally, the ethical issue is, like I said before, due to the corruption problems in Indonesia, actually the ethical issue is the most pressing that companies in Indonesia have to embrace today, because of the once again, from the global pressure or the national pressure itself. Okay, please next. Yeah, so what I would like to discuss with you all today is that those company, um, in my observations, are trying to, implement programs, usually the forms of the changes is in the form of programs. So they are trying to design some programs which uh, the goal is to change their corporate culture from, well, maybe in the past they are a bit corrupt, and then trying to change into more ethical. And in the past they were not embracing uh, the environmental mindset, but now with creating a certain programs, they expect the employees to embrace these new values, this new culture, and would change into a new type, or a new type of organization. So what I see is the is it I mean, I'm asking if it is as simple as that. I mean, if the problem will be solved simply by having programs, and uh, at the end of the I don't know, maybe the program will last several years or whatever, and then at the end of the programs, the CEOs or the upper management will have some kind of measurement, and they would they would satisfy themselves that, okay, we have implemented this program, so we are sure that at the end of the programs, all would be all employees would embrace these new values. So what I would like to ask is it really that simple, changing people's culture? Because we are talking about culture here. We are talking about values and beliefs are something that has been ingrained, something that has been inside you for so long, and it is not something that is easy to change. So what approaches are best uh, to see, or to look at these problems, to look at this issue uh, that is most applicable to those companies? Can we just make up programs and then you know, like a magic tool. Suddenly at the end of the programs, the upper management would think that, okay, we have developed these programs, good, the very good program. We are sure that at the end of the program, all of our employee will embrace those new values. Because I think, yeah, we are talking about values, and values are not easily changed in individual or in, yeah, in a group of people. Okay, next, please. So yeah, basically, that's what I'm trying to have a good discussions with you all about how to best approach the need to change the corporate culture. Because like I said in my previous slide, there are several perspectives within the organizational culture studies, within the corporate culture studies, how to best approach if we are trying to change uh, one's or the company's culture. So they are critical, of course, interpretive, and then strategic. But from my observations in Indonesia these days, due to their due to their efforts in creating programs, I think um, I think the strategic approach is the approach or is the perspective mostly used in Indonesia. So they see the changing values problem or issue using the managerial perspective, using the strategic perspective, which is, uh, like I said, they're trying to have create a program, create many programs, actually not just one. And then, yeah, at the end of those programs, they would have some kind of measurement, they would have some kind of an evaluation, and they would think whether those new values have already embraced or have been already internalized even uh, inside the employees' minds, which is what I would think it's not an easy task, because, like I said, changing someone's opinion is difficult. Nevertheless, changing someone's beliefs or values about something. Okay, well, that's my presentation for today. I've reached the end of my PowerPoint. So after this, it's the Dr. Susan Leong turns to have her own presentation.